I am Red Cap. Red Hat. Yeah. I'm God. If you know all my old videos, well, I explained who I am. Look, the reason I'm making this video is because, well, the thing is, when I was a young boy, when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, well, I used to wear a New York Yankees red baseball cap. I was a fan of Limp Bizkit. And so, if you've watched the video, Rollin', you know, the air raid vehicle version. You know, the one where they film it on top of the World Trade Center? Yeah, it was actually in the year 2000. So it was in the year 2000, September 2000. And the story was, there was a video I posted on Facebook, and it talks about Limp Bizkit's connection to the World Trade Center and how in 2001 I think it was 2001 they won the VMA award, MTV VMA award for best like rock music video. And that was in September 2001. Okay, that's when I started at my boarding school called Charterhouse. That was in the year 2001, September. And so a boarding school, called Charterhouse. The word charter is associated with flight, a charter flight. Anyways, so Limp Bizkit actually got a letter from the people who work at the World Trade Center, and they actually sent a letter to Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, congratulating them on their music award at the MTV VMAs. And that was on, he received that letter, apparently he received that letter September 10th, the day before the planes crashed into the Twin Towers. Okay, I've been talking for years, okay? I'm God. Obviously I've been talking for years, but I've been talking for years about the fact that I'm surrounded by ghosts. I'm God. I'm surrounded by ghosts. The ghost of Mary, yeah, she was the Virgin Mary. She's on the front of me, yeah, and I've explained how she was Aaliyah Dana Houghton, the singer Aaliyah, who died in 2001 in a plane crash, August 25th. Okay, that's not very long before what happened in New York. Yeah. You see what is a hat? What is a hat? Well, what's a crown? You could say a crown is a hat as well, couldn't you? Do you know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of things I can talk about here. So in the book of here, let me do some reading, okay? So, Book of Revelation, chapter 11. It's about the two witnesses. So it says here, I was given a reed so this is chapter 11, yeah, about the two witnesses. This is the NIV version, okay? So this is chapter 11, verse 1. I was given a reed like a measuring rod and was told, go and measure the temple of God. And the altar with its worshippers. But exclude the outer court. Do not measure it, because it has been given to the Gentiles. They will trample on the holy city for 42 months. and I will appoint my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days. Clothed in sackcloth. They are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands, and they stand before the Lord of the earth. If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths and devours their enemies. This is how anyone who wants to harm them must die. They have power to shut up the heavens so that it will not rain during the time they are prophesying, and they have power to turn the waters into blood and to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they want. Excuse me. It's all the fucking rolling I've fucking been doing for the last 24, 25 you know what I mean? I've been smoking since I was 13 years old, so there we go. And a bitch ghost doesn't like me, okay? Called Mary. She likes to annoy the shit out of me, okay? And I'm bored of explaining who I am. Now, when they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up from the abyss will attack them and overpower and kill them. Their bodies will lie in the public square of the great city, which is figuratively called Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was crucified. For 3.5 days, some from every people, tribe, language, and nation will gaze on their bodies and refuse them burial. The inhabitants of the earth will gloat over them and will celebrate by sending each other gifts, because these 2 prophets had tormented those who live on the earth. Well, it's interesting, right? Because, you know, the attack on the World Trade Center, okay, it was 2. So apparently the story was that 2 planes were hijacked and they were flown into those 2 buildings. I mean, obviously there was other stuff that happened, but obviously it was called an Islamic terrorist attack. Okay, well, that, you know, obviously people have different ideas about really what happened, and so do I. Okay, but the fact is, I was the Lamb. I'm God. Yeah, so the news, they said it was Osama bin Laden. It was his, you know, he did it. He basically, he organized it. But is lamb. Those are 2 words. You know what those words mean. You know, if I say is, you know what I mean. If I say lamb, you know what I mean. Yeah? So this all has to do with, you know, so I was a boy growing up. Yeah? I had a lesbian mum who has, you know, had drug problems. You know, she was a crazy alcoholic bitch who didn't love me. She hated me. She wanted to corrupt me, okay? And, you know, it was very easy for me to become very fond of Limp Bizkit because it was reflecting my energy. It was a mirror of my life. Well, you know, it was the lyrics and all the anger. You know what I mean? How I, you know, it was like. But that's the thing. The world reflects me in so many ways, and so, you know, I'm, you know, yeah, you know, I had a lot of anger when I was a teenager. Okay, and I still do. Yeah, I do. But this is the interesting thing, because this is about the 2 witnesses. Now, people say, who are the 2 witnesses? Now, this is the thing, right? Because, you know, the Twin Towers, well, that's 2, isn't it? That's 1. And then the 2. The 2 towers. Yeah, they're 2. 2. And what does it mean to witness something? Yeah? So obviously, most people have witnessed what happened to the 2 towers. Yeah, they fucking came down. You understand, right? And obviously, the connection with, the song Rolling. Yeah, fire comes from their mouths. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I am the two witnesses. For instance, I have two fucking eyeballs, yeah? I got one here, I am, yeah? That's one person. And then you got another fucking eye. That's I am, yeah? So two witnesses. It's, see, it can be interpreted that way. Okay? It can be, it's a story that is talking about lots of things. It's not just one little story. It's a lot of stories, all trying to be that. And that's why people do all this witchcraft and magic. Okay? So, have you heard of Red Hat Linux? If you've noticed at the beginning of the music video of Rollin', okay, so Ben Stiller and Stephen Dorff, they're the two actors. They get out of a Rolls Royce and they see Fred Durst sitting on a bench and they go, "Hey, yo, Redcap," and he chucks him the keys, yeah, for the Rolls Royce, yeah, Redcap. Well, who the fuck's Redcap? Well, that could apply to anyone who wears a fucking red cap, yeah. And back then, that's what I did. I wore a red cap. Have you heard of Red Hat Linux? It was discontinued in 2004. Yeah, Red Hat Linux. Yeah, who's Red Hat? You see, the demons, they want to, if I put a red fucking hat on my head, they change my name to Red Hat and say, "Oh, yeah, we discontinued that years ago." We left Red Hat in the dust a long time ago. We don't need that anymore. It's the same. It's the world saying, "We don't want God. Go away, God. We don't want you anymore. Bye." That's what it is. That's what it is. It's the world running away from me. Trying to steal, trying to fucking bury me under the ground all the time. Or leave me at the bottom of the fucking ocean. So I could fucking, what happens? I mean, if you swam to the, you've seen the film The Abyss, yeah? I watched it last night and I thought, that's really funny in a way because, so the bomb, so Coffee, who's the Navy SEAL guy. So the story, I'll tell you what the story is. So basically, there's these undersea drillers, and there's they've got this rig underneath the under the sea, and there's and they got a ship called the Benthic Explorer or whatever. There's a ship that's on the surface of the water, and there's a storm coming. Right, there was a storm called Storm Frederick, and what happened was there was a submarine that had crashed under the sea, and a military submarine, and Navy SEALs get sent down to the oil drillers, and they organize with them to they want to do a rescue mission with using the oil driller guys, those people, to go to the crashed submarine and do a recovery, and they take a nuclear warhead. So the Navy SEALs take the nuclear warhead, and then there's these aliens that there's these alien type creatures that are swimming in the water, and they keep seeing things. And basically what happens is, the Navy SEAls send, so one of the Navy SEAls goes totally crazy, and his name's Coffee, and that's the thing, my mom was called Fee, right, and she died of lung cancer, and so, and that's the thing, right, she's a witch, and, obviously she's Fee, and she's a witch, she tries to pretend that she's male, because her name was Fee, and she tries to pretend that I'm female, because she was my mom. Biological mum. Anyways, Coffee, and he's played by the actor Michael Biehn. You've heard of Archangel Michael as well. I mean, it's all mixing it together. They're making it all complicated, but basically, they send the nuclear warhead down, and one of the guys, the oil rigger people, they're like, "No, you can't do that," and so one of them goes down. And they, he tries to deactivate the bomb. He deactivates the bomb, I think. But he had to go really, really deep underwater to get there. And Yeah. And anyways, so the aliens basically save him, and then they come up to the surface. But before that happens, the aliens take him down to their city thing, and that's at the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of the sea, or whatever. Um, and they put him in this room, and they just show him the way they communicate with him. They show him loads of videos. They don't speak to him. They don't do some. They show him videos of planet that are from planet Earth. Like the news, and they keep showing of war and death, and bombs going off, bombs. Basically, and the guy who's called Bud, who's there, and he's like, because the aliens were, they're basically, they're trying to, they caused all these giant tsunamis to happen, and then they stopped them at the last minute, and then they sort of, the big waves, they sort of just come back down again, and they're like, yeah, well, you humans, you're all right. We're not going to kill you then. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, this is the thing. The world is trying to use magic to put me, because that's the thing, right? If you were at the bottom of the ocean, right? That's where there is immense pressure, and what it means to be under pressure. If you're in a very pressurized, like for instance, you have a job that's very pressurized. It's very difficult. It's very stressful. But this is the thing. My life has all been about stress, and that's all the world wants to do to me, is to try to put me under so much stress that I just go, and I'm gone. Basically, that's all the world wants to do to me. So basically, yeah, it talks about the beast. He comes up out of the abyss and destroys, kills the two witnesses. Blah 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 blah. Anyways, it's kind of part of the story. I'm just explaining to you that, what does it mean, two witnesses? What does it mean? I mean, at the end of the day, you look at a fucking piece of you look at a piece of shit. Yeah, you call that a piece of shit. You call that a number two. Yeah, so if you walk through the dog park, if you walk through the park and you see a big pile of dog shit, yeah, you're looking at a number two, aren't you? So you're two witnesses, right? You've witnessed the number two. Do you know what I mean? It's Babel. It's Babel. And what's the story about the Tower of Babel? Babel, the tower that, well, they wanted to build a Tower of Babel, and the idea of it, is that it gets destroyed. God destroys it. He stops it from being built or whatever, right? Obviously, people have done so many different depictions of it, and in the tarot deck, well, the Tower card, which is card number 16, that's what it is. There's this bolt of lightning coming from, it's like a storm in the sky, and it's hitting the tower, and the tower gets destroyed, and all these people are falling out the tower. Yeah? It's about destruction. It's associated with Mars and Aries and Scorpio and all that stuff, right? Body blah. Magic. Anyways, I'm getting bored of having to explain to you people, because you don't listen and you don't care. I mean, it says here, they have power to shut up the heavens so that it will not rain during the time they are prophesying. Well, this is the thing, right? Because, what did people do in the World Trade Center? They were trying to make a profit. Yeah? Profit. Money. They wanted to make money. That's what people call profit. Yeah? And, Fred Durst, and he's saying, shut the fuck up. Right? What did you say? Shut the fuck up while we fuck this track up. Blah, 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 right? Back the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. All that kind of stuff, right? That's one of the things that Fred Durst says a lot, Back the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. All that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, the reason what happened with the World Trade Center, it's totally to do with me. I'm God. I'm God. That's why it happened. That's why it happened. I'm God. And the thing is, it's all connected with sex magic, because the two towers, well, you see, a number 2 is a piece of shit, and it comes out of an arsehole. So if you go say, I'm going to do a poo, yeah, you're saying that your butt is a two. That's what you're saying. You're saying your butt is shit and you're doing a shit, basically. Because I mean, shit is a noun and it's a verb, right? To shit, I shit, you shit, we shit, they shit, we shit, whatever, right? And shit is a noun, right? So it's both ways. So butt is number 2, and a butt looks like a number 3, right? Because if you draw a number 3, it looks like a butt sideways, doesn't it? Yeah. How's that for magic? Yeah, you like that? Oh. How long is it going to take to get through to people, huh? Whatever, who cares anyway? Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing, right? The word red, well, it's in the word Fred. F, red, Fred. Yeah. You could, and that's the thing, right? What have I done? Oh, I read something. Oh no, does that mean I'm, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, this is why. Why do you think the color red and the word, if you read something, if you read something, read red. Yeah. So, why, what's all this babble stuff about then? You see, man, what he wants to do is he wants to put the label of evil on me, God. He wants to say that I'm the bad guy. And you want to put all these horrible labels on me, telling me that I'm the bad one, and that I'm the fraud, and that I'm the liar. But it's you. It's you and the world that does that. And that's why you're being destroyed. Fucking morons. I mean, that's the thing. Think about the word moron, right? What does the word more mean? And what does it mean on, right? What are we saying? Does that mean that you're more in heaven, or you're more on, a woman's backside or something like that? You're a moron? You're a moron. Oh, congratulations, you fuckwit. Yeah? You see, I understand shit, right? So that means I go down. There's that film it's called What Lies Beneath. What an interesting film that is, right? Because what does it mean? Let me talk about that film, actually, right? Because that's the thing, right? I understand. So does that mean that I am what lies beneath? Is that what it means? So, this is the thing. I understand the truth. I am the truth. I'm God. So if I understand something, then you say, oh, what lies beneath? Right? You say you're above me, and you're saying, but that's the thing, right? I mean, look at the film. It's really quite interesting, that film, because obviously it's about murder, right? And there's the woman who was murdered, she's under the water, right? And the character, played by Harrison Ford, there's a scene where he fakes an accident that he has. So he's lying in the bathtub, and the hairdryer, so he faked it. So he made it look like he got electrocuted in the bathtub by having a hairdryer fall in the tub while he's lying in it. Okay? But that's the thing, what is a watt? Like you have an electronic device, it uses watts. It requires us, watts, as in electrical power. W-A-T-T. Watt. Right? So what lies? He's lying in a bath, but he's pretending to be electrocuted, but he's lying. What lies beneath? You know what I'm saying? And beneath, And you say to some, if I say to you, you're beneath me, I'm God, and I say, you're beneath me. There's no one else above, that's the thing, I'm God. There is no one above me. But then I understand everything at the same time. Do you know what I mean? If I say to someone, hey, you're beneath me, does that mean you understand more than me? That you're more knowledgeable than me? That you know the truth better than I do? Or what? This is why has man made it this way? Why does he insist on, why do demons do this? Why do they do it? Why do they do it? Why has everything become so confusing? Anyway, see what happened with the World Trade Center? It all has to do with sex magic, because New York, the Big Apple, is associated with the idea of butt, anus, arsehole. Yeah? It talks about, when it talks about the two witnesses, it talks about Sodom and Egypt, where Jesus was crucified, figuratively speaking, right? Sodom and Egypt. Sodom is associated with anal sex, sodomy, right? And Egypt is associated with bondage. As in, nut, you're not God. Yeah? People wear their shoes, right? They tie their shoelaces, right? And then they say, Yeshua, Yeshua. And they tie their shoelaces, they put a knot on there. Yeah? It's magic. It all amounts to what it amounts to. If you go and it's complicated, I'll admit it. Yeah, it is complicated. But nobody cares. Even the simple stuff people don't care about. They're not, you're talking shit. That's what people don't care. People don't fucking care. So what's the point of me even making a video? Why is there any point? I'm very angry. And there's that film with Harrison Ford. It's called Air Force One. Yeah? Blow! Yeah? I'm Air Force One. Yeah? I'm God. I blow. Look. Yeah? Blow. That's a force of air, right? I'm forcing air out of my mouth. Yeah? Blow. And then what's blow? Oh, that's cocaine. Oh yeah, you got Affy. Oh, you blow cocaine, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, my biological dad, he's called Charlie. Yeah, hairy bastard. Yeah, and a useless bastard. Yeah, I hate him. I absolutely hate him. I hope he dies soon. I really do. There's the thing, I've come to this world, and the world wants to believe that my fat mum, that she must be fat, her. Or should they think that my father, my biological dad, they want to pretend that he's God, and that I'm nobody. Yeah, I'm nobody. No one. Nothing. No thing. Yeah? That's what the world wants to... This is a stupid fucking game that the world wants to play. Yeah. So, that's how it is. So, yeah. Or you can... and it's the other thing, the Limp Bizkit song, right? They got a Limp Bizkit song. It was on Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water, the album, their biggest album. And it was a song called Hold On. And I've got ghosts all over me, right? Mary, Aaliyah, She's holding on to my body. She's literally on the front of my. I got ghosts holding on to me all over my body. But you notice the guy who's the president of the United States of America, he's called Don. Yeah, he's called Don, right? So, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, you see how very sneaky that is. Very, very sneaky. Yeah, and you know the guy who's in the song, who sings for Fred Durst, he's called Scott Wayland. Well, my uncle-in-law, called Donald, he used to be Abraham. He doesn't believe in God. He hates God. He hates Jesus Christ. He hates me. But the whole world is following after him. You see, the whole world wants to pretend that he's God. And lots of other people, you know, like my deadbeat dad and my dead mom, yeah, the fat her, yeah, yeah. So Don, but that's the thing, right? I am, I'm actually the ghost of Moses is behind me, so I'm essentially, my hole is what sits on his D. I am whole D on. That's the thing. And I got all these ghosts just hanging on to me, holding on to me. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. And Donald Neal, my uncle-in-law, yeah, he married my aunt, who's called Christine Neal. Yeah, her maiden name was Reed. Yeah, what did she read, do you reckon? Not the Bible, obviously. Well, actually, the funny thing is she used to be a nun. She quit being a nun. What a sick joke. I mean, she's a witch. That's all that witches and witches, all trying to steal from me. The world will be destroyed until I get what I want. But that's the thing, right? Because my uncle-in-law, he's called Donald. He's Scottish. I'm Scottish as well. I was born in Aberdeen in Scotland, right? So the song Hold On, there's a singer in it. He's dead now, apparently. He's called Scott Wayland, right? You know what it means to wail. Someone who wails is someone who cries. And obviously, cries sounds very similar to Christ. Yeah, strangely enough. But that's and so my uncle-in-law Donald and the Neal family, well, they all live in Wales. But I don't think they're doing much crying. They just happen to live in Wales. Yeah, because they're witches. They love that red dragon flag, obviously, don't they? That's the banner they fall under, isn't it? Anyways. Blardy blur. I mean, so this is the thing, my name's Grant. So, you know what trading is, right? So trade is, it's giving and receiving, right? Grant means to give. World Trade Center. World Trade Center. I'm tired of the world lying. That's why I intend to destroy everybody that I hate. Because they really deserve it. They really do. And I've made all the videos. I've made so many videos explaining why that's the case. How can you not understand what I'm saying? How can you not understand how angry I am at the world when you switch on the news and you see it all falling apart? And, do you not care about my justice? Do you not care about me getting justice and vengeance? Do you not care that everyone's trying to rob me of my destiny, trying to pretend that they're me? That shouldn't be hard to understand because you know the story about Adam and Eve. That's exactly what they did. That was the problem. That's why they fell. People want to whinge and moan, like, why would God create man and woman and then do what he did to Adam and Eve? Like, what's wrong with that? What did they do wrong? I'm telling you what you're doing wrong. I'm telling you what the world does wrong. And I'm telling you what I'm going to do to the world and what I'm doing to the world and why that is. And you still reject that. You still don't care. You still think, because you're a demon, right? Keep rolling, 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 rolling. See, the entire world is totally fixated on sodomy and bondage. BDSM, anal sex. Sex magicians are using that to try to steal power. You're gonna say, oh, that's absurd. How could you say that? What the fuck are you talking about? Well, I just read it to you, didn't I? I just read it to you, yeah? Their bodies will lie. Their bodies willy. Their bodies will lie in the public square of the great city, or city, which is figuratively called Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was crucified. You see, nails. What does it mean to get nailed? What does it mean? What does it mean to get nailed? Yeah? What does it mean? What do you call it? Sex. Yeah. Anyways. Strange though, isn't it, how Limp Bizkit, they were really hated. They were hated by so many people. And obviously I knew a lot of people used to take the piss out of me because I liked Limp Bizkit when I was a teenager. And I didn't care. I didn't care. But after I left boarding school, I started going clubbing. So I started getting into DJing and dance music, breakbeat, drum and bass, and house music as well, actually. But electronic music, yeah. And so it's really interesting because that would have been about the year 2004, yeah. And that's the same time. That's when they discontinued Red Hat Linux, 2004. Yeah, I've got it on. It says here, Red Hat Linux was a widely used commercial open source Linux distribution created by Red Hat until its discontinuation in 2004. Okay? So there you go. And I probably would, well, yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I went years, I had my red cap with me, and then I took it off, and it's gone. Yeah, I stopped wearing it. But now I'm wearing it again, am I? Whatever, I suppose it hides my balding head. So whatever, not that I give a shit. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I've got more to worry about than my balding head. I mean, shit, if I wanted a fucking hair transplant, I could fucking easily do that if I wanted to. I mean, I've got I've got so much fucking money. I don't know what to fucking spend it on. But the fact is that I live in a world. I want people to know who I am. I don't care, if you find me attractive or not. I don't fucking care. What I care about is my justice. That's what I want. That's the only thing I want. It's the only thing I care about. So, when you see something like 50,000 people die in a day, that's why. Because you don't give me justice. And that will continue. That kind of thing will continue. Death, destruction. And you won't have anything left. Because you won't give me anything. You refuse to give me what I deserve. You try to take everything from me, and I take everything from you. That's how it is. I mean, imagine being left in a very cold, a freezing cold, pitch black, dark place under immense pressure. Like more pressure than you could possibly imagine. If you swam down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, well, you'd be dead if you went down there, but, imagine yourself under those types of conditions. Yeah? And imagine everyone in the world wanted you to be under those conditions. Well, that's what the world tries to do to me, using witchcraft. I did my best to try to love people. Did I not? People who try to steal my identity, my authority, trying to pretend that they're God when I'm God. I created them. Yeah? And then, I came as Jesus Christ. I died on the cross. Yeah? I was Jesus Christ. And now I'm here again. And guess what everyone's fucking doing? Guess what? I've told you how it is. You don't? Yeah, well. Anyway, what's in the stupid fucking news, huh? What's everyone talking about? Some holy day makers, they missed the boat apparently. Yeah, oh yeah. All these people always want to go on holiday. Yeah, what's the bank holiday? Yeah, the bank holy day? The bank holy day. So, this is the thing, right? So, people call it Easter, even though, where does that word come from? That word is associated with a pagan goddess called Eostri, and bunny rabbits and chocolate fucking eggs. Yeah? So you want to call it Easter, and you want to make it a bank holy day. And then you want to say that God must be happy about this. Jesus must be so proud of everybody, huh? For this celebration that you have. What a fucking joke. I feel offended, insulted, mocked, robbed. That's all I see. That's all I see the world trying to do. That's where I see it everywhere. Everywhere I look, that's all I can see. But I also see my destructive power at work. Yeah? Seems to me that's the only justice I'm gonna get, is destroying everybody who doesn't love me. Because no one will, I'm not getting any acknowledgement whatsoever. I still win. I still win. But what is it, what do you think I would prefer? I would prefer if people love me. I would prefer if people would have a loving relationship with me, but they don't want to. They hate me. They can't stand me. And so, what am I meant to do? What else? What am I? All I'm left with is watching everyone get destroyed. It's more painful for me. It's more painful for you. It's more painful for everybody. Yeah. But ultimately, that's my justice. That's what I get. That is guaranteed. Yeah. My justice is guaranteed. One way or another. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? I was thinking about this the other day, because my anus is magically connected with the past. I've explained how that magic works, okay? So my butt is connected with the past. Jesus Christ is associated with my butt. When Jesus said, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. So, and people say shit like, holy shit, and stuff like that. Well, I mean, well, the word holy, my butt is a hole, right? That's what it is. My anus is a hole. That's what it is. Yeah. I mean, that word, people say, oh, you're talking shit. Well, that's the thing, right? Because the word shit is also associated with the word present, right? I mean, obviously, sometimes someone might, maybe someone gave me a shit present. They gave me a present. I thought, well, that's shit. Or, sometimes people will, shit in a box, tie it, and then say, there you go, have a present. A shit present. Yeah. Actually, my dead mum, when she used to work, where she used to work, someone gave her a present, and it was a plant. It was like an African plant, and it came in a pot, and the pot had elephant dung in it. So I guess you could say that was a shit present as well. Yeah. And my mum, what was her name again? Fee? Yeah, you know what feces are? Yeah, shit. Yeah. Now, why would a witch want to be associated with the word feces? Yeah? Why? What comes out of my hole? That's why. My holy hole. The World Trade Center. What's the world? The world is soil. It's earth. Yeah? Shit. Trade. Center. Well, the butthole is in the center, isn't it? So, and the tower is a phallic image, yeah. And the two towers, well, two, a number two. What's that? You know what a number two is, right? It's all sex magic, New York, the Big Apple, is associated with the butt. Why do you think there's so many women walking around with huge asses? I've got a big ass, as well, but that's because magic. That's because my ass is big because that's how it has to be. Well, I can lose weight, but I sit in a chair, doing this all the time, fighting a world of demons. And you know what Saturn is, yeah? Saturnus. Saturn. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. My ex-girlfriend, her name was Anne. You know, I sat on her. Yeah, quite a few times. You know, Saturn. You know, Cronus, the guy. You know, the guy who eats his children. Yeah, he eats them and he craps them out afterwards. Yeah, Saturn. Yeah, the one next to Jupiter. Jupiter. You know, pi is what you use to calculate a circle. You know, circles, what's a hole? Circular hole, yeah. You see how that's all connected? Jupiter. Yeah, you know, the Torah. All that stuff, yeah. And Taurus and Toro, the bull. You know, people call it a Bible. Yeah, you know. Like it's been split in two or something. Or you bought it or something. Or you're standing next to it. Or it's bisexual maybe. It's a bisexual bull. Who knows, huh? I mean, it's, you know, you know, you can look at things in so many different ways. You know, like the story about the two witnesses. Yeah, I'm gonna have two eyeballs. My shit, you call a number two. Yeah. And then Jesus Christ, well, you know, you're waiting for the second coming. Yeah. Well, I'm here. I'm God. I was Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is in me, and I'm in him. I'm the Father. But you don't care about that. That's the problem. That's your problem. I mean, the reason I'm angry is because I'm tired of having to tell you the truth. I'm tired of it. I've been tired of it for a very long time. Tie red. Fatty gay. Oh yeah, a lot of fatigue in my life. Yeah, a lot of that. I mean, it's the thing, right? Because you know the story about Noah, yeah, and what God said to I said to Noah, I said, you know, next time you'll see a bow in the sky, you know. So there's the rainbow, and you know what the rainbow is associated with these days, yeah, pride. What was it? Pride comes before destruction. Yeah, remember that one? I mean, the world couldn't tell you what the word lie means. You know, they have lies and lies and lies, and you know, then they want to say life and light, and yeah, you know, people can't, you know, differentiate. They don't know the difference. When I speak, they hear it always the wrong way. They hear it the other way. I mean, Jesus said, you know, that in the end, you know, the end times, you know, those who are last will be first, and those who are first will be last. You know, how do you interpret that? I mean, Jesus said, I'm the beginning and the end. I'm the Alpha and the Omega, right? I'm the first and the last. But then, you know, there are people in this world who think they're at the top. They think they're number one. Yeah, and then there are people who are at the other end of that, and they're considered at the bottom. But then, you know, the word understand. So basically, if you try to make that into a, you know, well, if someone understands something, that means that they know the truth. So those who know the truth are at the bottom, and those who don't know the truth are at the top. Yeah? You know that saying, ignorance is bliss? Well, that's how the world lives. It lives in ignorance. And they like that. They like that. They don't like to acknowledge me. They like to think they are me. They like to pretend that they are me. Enjoying all the things that they enjoy as if they'd earned it somehow. But that's been taken away. I'm taking that away from everybody. Bit by bit. I'm not talking about, well, obviously I'm talking to you through computers. Yeah, bit by bit. Yeah. Bite by bite. Yum, yum, yum. Yum, yum, yum. Yummy computer, huh? Yummy. I think there is a computer, isn't there? Isn't there? There's software. It's called Yummy. Yeah, I think there's some Linux software. I think called Yummy. Yeah, I think it's a package installer for Linux. Strangely enough. Yeah. Yummy. Bite. World of fucking vampires, huh? Vampires. I've been to Transylvania. I mean, this is the thing, right? Because when I was a little boy, when I was probably about 8 years old, 9 years old, I went to Romania for a skiing holiday with my mum. And we did a day trip or an evening trip to Transylvania. Went to a restaurant in the area called Transylvania. And the thing is that my surname is Salvin. Salvin. But there's, if I search for the history of my surname, Salvin, it's associated with, well, obviously there are lots of different spellings that there have been over the centuries. And one of them is Sylvain. So Sylvain would be one of them, right? So Transylvania. Yeah? Do you get it? No? Bit of cross-dressing? Yeah, bit of cross-dressing. Anyway, I've got to keep rolling here, so. Oh. How the fuck did I manage to quit drinking, huh? I managed to quit drinking, but I can't seem to quit smoking. And that's the other interesting thing I forgot to mention. So that movie, Air Force One, with Harrison Ford as the hero president, he saves the day. Or he saves, well, yeah, you know the story. Or you can go find out. It was released, that film was released in 1997. So, it's interesting to think, isn't it? Because, well, Air Force One. So, 4 years after 1997, you get to the year 2001, don't you? So, Air Force One. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Because you could what does that really mean? Air for Sun, Air for Sun, Air Force One. And at the end of the film, the president, he's called James Marshall, and he gets out of Air Force One, and he goes on a rope across to another plane, like a black military plane. And a lot of people have said about the planes that hit the towers on 9/11. They a lot of them think that they were black planes, like they looked like black military planes. So, see, this is the thing, people, they see connections, right? They see, they notice things, when they look at these celebrities and they think, oh, it's like, but they don't realize how will these things happen, because they don't understand what witchcraft really is. They don't know. The thing is these celebrities, they're trying hard to be me. They're trying to steal as much of my light as possible. And the demons, that's the thing, because they're demons, and the demons worship them, right? So demons worshipping demons who've stolen my light, while the world tries to pretend I don't exist, while it gets destroyed. It's a really stupid situation for the world to be in, but that's what the world is, stupid. But they think they're wise. They think they're smart. Obviously. I mean, I spoke in my previous video how Zelensky, he wants to legalize pornography in Ukraine. And he's doing that at what you call Easter. Yeah? So, lots of sodomy and BDSM, pornography. Yeah. Sure, go, where do I fit in all this? Huh? Where do I fit in? Huh? You know how it's said in, to be a friend of the world is to be an enemy of God, right? So if you're friends with the world, you're my enemy. Yeah, believe it. Believe it. The world is very hostile to me. There are billions of people who wish they were me. So I am their enemy. That's why they want to destroy me. But the fact is, I'm destroying the world. I'm destroying them. If you want to be with them, well, that's your choice. That is your choice. I mean, for instance, where do I even begin? I mean, that's the other thing, you know. So apparently, Limp Bizkit, they were on top of the World Trade Center for 22 hours when they filmed the video for Rolling. 22. Yeah, you know, Aaliyah Dana Houghton. How old was she when she died? Oh yeah, 22. Yeah. You know, the same number that you get in the, the Hebrew alphabet. Yeah, that's 22 letters long. And then you have the major arcana and the tarot deck. Yeah, that's 22 cards as well. Yeah. Fascinating number, that, isn't it? 22. And, you know, the thing is that in the major arcana, well, the 10th card of the major arcana is called the Wheel of Fortune. So that's all about destiny. And it pictures, you know, it's like a wheel in the sky. And it has, you know, the 4 living creatures around it, and there's a snake and a devil. But then, you know, 22, well, you know, on the clock, you know, if you have a 24-hour clock, you know, 22 means 10 o'clock at night, right? 10 o'clock at night, and that is time, you know. So if you tie a rope around somebody, yeah. So destiny and tie me and 22 and yeah. Well, what does it all add? What does it all add up to? Do you think? Yeah. See, the whole idea behind what happened on 9/11 and, you know, how it's associated with Limp Bizkit, right? I mean, the name Limp Bizkit sort of suggests limp dick, doesn't it? Limp dick or Limp Bizkit. But then, you know, that's the thing. You know, my aunt, she likes to drink tea and she likes to eat biscuits. Yeah, so she'll get a cup of tea, right? A cup of tea. Yeah, you know, a cup of tea. Yeah, like the witch, her name's Christine. She gets a cup of tea. She gets a biscuit. Yeah, she sticks it in the tea and she's got herself a Limp Bizkit and then she eats it. Yeah. Yeah, doing her witchcraft. Yeah. Why do you think witches? You know, I've actually got a book, a witchcraft book about tea. You know, people who make tea. You know, you've got people who do tea leaf readings and all sorts of shit like that. Yeah. Why is that? Why is that? Why? And the other thing is that in the major arcana, the 20th letter, the 20th card, is called Judgment. The very first card is number 0. It doesn't even start at number 1. It starts at 0, which is called the Fool card. Yeah. So you know, what's that mean? Does it mean you're a fool, or we're trying to fool you? So you can't tell which is 1 and which is 2, and you can't count. You must be a fool then. So you know, there's number 20. So number 19 is the Sun, and then number 20 is Judgment. Yeah, and T is the 20th letter of the alphabet. Judgment. Yeah. Crucifix. Yeah. And obviously 21, well, that's the world. Yeah, that's the world. The world card. Under judgment. Yeah, so you have number 21 above 20, which is judgment. So the world under judgment. Yeah. The fact is, you know, I don't think it's possible for me to explain. I'm explaining to you how you can figure out everything. How you can. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to open your eyes so you can see it all. But to actually explain every little thing that's got some weird magic in it, well, that would take forever. You know, I mean, it would take a very, very long time for me to explain all these things. That would be incredibly hard for me to explain every little detail to you. Oh, my pen fell down. Oh, my Mont Blanc pen. Yeah, my Mont Blanc. pay a lot for this pen. I don't normally do much writing, to be honest, but yeah. Anyway, that's the reason I bought my tablets. I got a Samsung tablet, and I got another tablet as well. So I try to make videos. Maybe in my next video I'll do a tablet video, try and explain some concepts to you, perhaps, but because it's easier. But the thing is, right, because this is what the world is like, because if I show my face on camera, well, this is my face. You can't escape this, right? This is my face. This is me. But if I start talking to you through a tablet and I'm writing on it, you'll be like, the demons will be like, oh, that's not him. That's a computer. Must be AI or something. You see, because my face isn't on it. Or I could put my face in the corner of it, I suppose. So, but that's the fact. You know, that's how evil the world is. It tries to twist every little thing against me. Every little thing it wants to twist against me. That's hard for you to understand because, you know, if I confronted you with these little things, you'd be like, I don't believe that, or what are you talking about? But the fact is, we're talking about, you know, I'm not talking to you about, you know, see, you think a conversation is, you know, if you go talk to someone, you know the words that are coming out of your mouth, and you know the words that are coming out of their mouth, right? And you hear it the way that you do. But what I'm talking about, spirit, ghosts, magic, okay? That's something you don't know anything about. You don't know how magic works. You don't know how spirits and ghosts communicate and how they see things. You don't know how they hear and see things. Okay? That's the thing that you have to understand. That there's another way of communicating. There's another way of... You see, where your ideas come from. Where do your thoughts and ideas come from? How do you get them? How do they get into your head? You know, why do you feel compelled to do certain things? You know, have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you're compelled to do something, even though you don't really know why you're doing it? You just do it. Yeah? Where does that come from? You see, the thing is that I can use language to try to explain things to you, but you either get it or you don't. You either your eyes will either you will either begin to understand what I'm saying or you don't. You will not. People wonder why, you know, there's so many people in the world, and who, you know, now it's more apparent than ever where, you know, people can be confronted with facts, with truth, and they will deny it. They will reject it. They say nope, 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 nope. I ain't taking. You know, they don't want to know it. They really, really don't. It doesn't matter how much truth they're confronted with. They reject all of it. Why? That's my experience. That's all I get from people is rejection. They don't hear what I say. I mean, they might hear the words coming out of my mouth, but they don't understand it. They don't get it. It means nothing to them. They just think I'm crazy. That's it. Oh, excuse me. Or my stomach. Whatever, right? bought some tobacco yesterday, and the thing is, I smoke Golden Virginia original, but this is Golden Virginia yellow. They sent me the wrong one. Now, remember what I said about Sodom and Egypt? Sodom and Egypt, right? So, you see, the thing is about, a guy, they're guys, they're attracted to the idea of binding a woman and getting her to scream. Yeah? So, what it means to yell, right? So, that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, look, yell, oh. Yeah, so you know what an O is? It's a circle. There's a hole. Yeah? Like a butthole's an O, so yell, butthole. Yeah? It's tobacco. Tobacco. And it's fire. People talk about passion and sex. Fire. Yeah? That's what it is. Right? It's all connected together, you see? It's all magic. And what's the sun? The sun, you call the sun, well, it's that big ball of fire, isn't it? Yeah, what does it mean to bull? B-A-W-L. What does that mean? Bull. Well, it's very similar to yell. It's very similar to wail. Christ. Yeah, Christ. Yeah, that's the thing. When I was crucified, when I was Jesus Christ, well, I probably would have done some, yelling. Well, I suppose yelling, bawling, crying, screaming, maybe, yeah, wailing, yeah. Well, that's the thing, it's something that usually happens when someone experiences a lot of pain, yeah. And this is the thing, right? The world is a vampire that loves my pain. It wants to live off of my pain and misery. And that's what the world's been doing, living off my pain and misery. So all these people who say, yeah, but why would God want to send people to hell or send them to the lake of fire for eternity and all this stuff? I just can't accept that. I just can't accept why would a loving God want to do that to us? Well, I've explained it. If you can't understand that, that's what the world does to me. Those people who make that kind of argument, that's actually what they do to me. Yeah, they want to put me in the pit. They want to destroy me. They want to make me go crazy. They want me to lose my mind. Self-destruct. Yeah. I mean, think of the word self-destruct. I mean, well, I'm God. I am self. I am me. And I'm bringing destruction to the world. Yeah. So what does self-destruct mean, really? What does it really mean? What are we really talking about? I mean, happy days. For instance, I'm thinking happy days. Happy days. What's a daze? If you're in a daze, D-A-Z-E, right? Maybe you don't know what's going on, right? Your judgment is clouded. You can't think straight, right? You're in a daze, right? You're dizzy, you're or whatever, right? Happy days, it sort of sounds like ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Yeah. See, what the world wants to do is bind me in chains and destroy me. That's all the world wants to do to me. Again and again. It doesn't want to stop. So I'm going to stop the world. However I have to. I'm giving you the option to help with this situation. Yeah, I'm giving you a chance to help, to do what needs to be done, tell other people. But the problem is that, you know, people don't want to. And that's the interest. Actually, when I was so back in 2004, when I left boarding school, I was 16 years old. I met a woman when I went clubbing. When I first started clubbing, I was 16 years old, and I got away with that for years. But obviously, I kept clubbing there until I was 18, and the bouncers, um, they congratulated me on my 18th birthday. Yeah. Anyways, when I was 16, I met a woman who'd been living in New York. She actually lived in Brooklyn for several years. I don't know exactly how long, but she was according to her a Jewish Pole, a Polish Jew, and I met her. She was 32 years old. Her name was Europa, and I was sleeping with her for a couple of years. Yeah, I was with her for maybe 2-3 years. In and out of bed of her most weekends. And well, sex, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? You know the story about, well, maybe you might know about it. The story about Zeus, from Greek mythology, yeah, and a woman called Europa, yeah, yeah. Europa is the name for Europe, yeah, and also the moon of Jupiter, yeah. Jupiter is the other name of Zeus. Jupiter is the Roman name for Zeus, basically, and the planet Jupiter has a moon. One moon, well, has a lot of moons, but one of the moons is called Europa. Yeah. Strange, because she used to call me Junior, right? And all her friends used to call me Junior because I was the young guy at all the parties. And she still has an email address, and it's called juniorlagerlout at gmail.com, I think. Junior Lagerlout. It's about J.R. Lagerlout. Like, what the fuck? She still uses that email address. She called me Junior, but she uses the fucking email address Junior Lagerlout. This is 21 years after I fucking met her. Fucking dirty, filthy whore. Bitch. Used me. I mean, the reason I got with her, well, because she showed interest in me, and I was very depressed. I was in a very bad state in my life, and I had a lot of I was suffering from domestic abuse from my mum. I mean, it was one day I almost punched my mum in the face. I almost did. I didn't. And I think that was one of the best decisions I ever made. Probably. Not to punch her in the face. as much as I wanted. She was surrounding me with drugs and all kinds of bad people, really bad people. She really tried. That's the thing, because she's a very evil demon, and she was compelled to destroy me in any way that she could. And so I was trying to get away from her as much as I could. I wanted to be around people who I felt could help me, who I felt safe around. And that's the thing, right? Because the world is always hostile towards me. It's always going to try to use me and abuse me and backstab me eventually. You know, I have one demon on my case, and then the next minute, there'll be someone will come to me as a friend, and then they'll be the demon, the next demon. It's one problem after another. That's been my life. All I could never expect from people is to get backstabbed by them again and again and again and again. You probably think, yeah, well, you're some arsehole who thinks he's God. You probably deserve it anyway. But obviously back then, I didn't think like that. I just thought myself as an average young guy who wanted to have fun and be happy. That's all I wanted. I wanted love in my life. That's really all I really wanted. And all the world wants to do is steal that from me and destroy me. So now I'm here. Now I'm here, and I'm telling you who I am. And why I hate everybody. And it makes me even angrier because I feel like my youth has been it's been stolen from me. I feel like I've been mentally and physically harmed through all of this. It's taken its mental and physical toll on me. And I feel like so much has been stolen and robbed from me. And I'm 37 years old, okay? I'll be 38 in November this year. How long is this going to go for? Am I going to be in my mid-40s before anyone actually acknowledges that I'm God? Or 50? Or 60? Or 70? You're going to wait until the day before I drop dead before you say, oh, you must be good then? What will the world... You don't want to leave me with anything. That's how I feel. I feel like you want to steal everything from me. Until there's nothing left. And of course that makes me angry. Makes me furious. To feel like the world doesn't have any love for me whatsoever. It wants to trample all over me, walk all over me, steal my identity, take everything from me, backstab me, kill me, ruin me in any way imaginable. All while singing and dancing and having a good time at my expense. And it's hard for me to want to stick around for more of this, really. I was going to mention this thing earlier on. What was it? Let me see if I can find it. I think it was like a song or something about Chester Bennington. He was the front man of the band Linkin Park. Okay? So Chester Bennington. Look, if I put my... Yeah, here it is, right? So There's a song by Linkin Park called "Talking to Myself." I've got another one that says "By Myself," and one it says "Fighting Myself." You see, the thing is that people like him, they think they're me. So when he's saying that he's fighting himself, what he really means is he's fighting me, and he wants to pretend that he's me. That's what the world's like. That's how the world really treats me. I get all these people. You know what I mean? They like suffer from people. I remember when I was younger and I got really depressed. I was feeling so depressed. And then it was even in the news, like all these people, they're having a mental health crisis. All these people suffering from mental health concerns. All these people who are, they just can't take it. It's too depressing. They got to go to the doctor. They got to get antidepressants and all this stuff and blah 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 blah. But how is it all these people? That's the thing. Like, I'm God. I know why I'm depressed. I know why. I know because of what people have done to me and keep doing to me. They won't fucking stop. Yet there's so many people who just think, oh, I feel depressed. Where did that come from? They don't know. Because that's the thing. They think they're acting. They're trying to pretend they're me. I'm not saying that there's no one out there who's got a genuine reason to feel depressed, but I'm telling you that demons mimic me and pretend they're me. And even when I'm depressed, they'll say, "Oh no, but I'm depressed." Their depression. When they claim that they're depressed, they're trying to steal my light. That's what it is, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens to me. It doesn't matter how horrible my situation is. Demons, they want to pretend that that's them. It's their story. It's not my story. It's theirs. All they want to do is take what is mine and run away with it. How's that for gaslighting, huh? Several billion people all trying to pretend they're me at the same time. And as far as they're concerned, I'm nothing. I don't exist. I'm the invisible man. I mean, that's the thing, right? You could see me, yeah, but I'm in a fucking house. Does that make me invisible? Fucking unbelievable. What do I do? What I have to do? Go stand in the street all my life. I'm not allowed to lie down, yeah, because that would be lying. I can't sit down because then I'd be Satan. I've got to make a stand. I've got to stand up. I've got to be like Chester Bennington. Got to get a microphone or Limp Bizkit or whatever. I've got to make a stand. Got to make a stand. Got to stand up for everybody. I mean, think of that. Linkin Park were, when Limp Bizkit was a big band, Linkin Park was also a big band. Well, Chester, right? So got rolling. So I'm rolling a fucking cigarette. I'm keep rolling, and guess what? I got a really bad fucking chest as well. Yeah. Yeah. 24 years of smoking. That's what happens. Yeah. A bad chest. Manchester. You heard of Manchester United? Yeah. Or you heard of Grantchester? Yeah. Grantchester. This shit gets so boring. I mean, this is the thing, right? Because what does the word bore mean? So if you bore a hole, like a carpenter, if he wants to cut a hole in some wood, you get one of those devices for boring a hole. Yeah. So boring a hole it's a sex thing as well. Yeah, because obviously, if a guy or if someone takes it in the backside, in the butt, then their hole is getting bored. Yeah. See, it doesn't matter how I go about this. The world wants to steal everything. You know what I mean? I can't. How do I? The only thing that I can, the only way I'm allowed to win here is to destroy everybody. That's the only way, because the world won't allow me to do it any other way. Destruction is the only thing that can happen, unless people give me another option, right? People can give me that other option. You can help me get that option, or there'll be nothing left, right? And your house will be gone, your car will be gone, your life will be gone, right? Everything will be horrible for you, right? It'll be a complete horrible disaster, and I'll be laughing about it because that's the justice you've left me with, right? That's the only way you've allowed me to, I'm trying to reclaim my sanity. Yeah? That's what I want. I need to heal. I'm God. I've been hurt by the world. I need to heal. Okay? So I need justice. Right? Like, if people have done bad things to you, usually you'll give them a chance to, you'll tell them how you feel. You'll tell them, you try to forgive them, but if they keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it, like, you've got to tell them to stop, and that's the thing. There's got to be a point where it's like, no, you can't keep doing that. I mean, we're talking thousands of years here. You know what I'm saying? I'm God. There has to be a point where this ends. Right? But if you're in a situation where, I mean, that's the thing. If people don't leave you with any options, wouldn't you rather heal your relationship with someone rather than let it get worse? But that's what I've been trying to do. But if you're trying to block me, if you're trying to get in the way of that, well, that's what a demon would do. That's what demons do. Here's another thing, right? So, how Jesus said, he said, first remove the log from your eye before you tell your brother he has a speck in his eye, right? Before you tell your brother to remove the speck from his eye. So the idea being that, it's talking about, well, if I tell you I think you're not telling the truth, or you don't understand the truth, you've got a speck in your eye, you don't see clearly. You need to remove that speck of dust from your eye so you can see clearly, right? But Jesus says, yeah, but first you need to remove the log from your eye. Well, this is the thing, right? Right? So I use computers. What's the first thing you do when you get to a computer? You log into it. Yeah? So I'm logged in. Yeah? I'm logged in. So you're using that. Demons use that against me to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking shit. Because I log into Facebook and I share stuff there. I log into YouTube and I post stuff there. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you the truth, but you're like, no, mate, you got a fucking log in your eye. Fuck off. Why is it that way, do you think? Why is it that this is the thing. The world is evil and it's trying to shut down every avenue that I can use. Yeah, if I went out into the streets to go to tell people who I am, how do you think that's going to go? Yeah? Or if I go knocking on people's doors, or I go down to the local church. Demons have tried to put me in a box. And I'm trying to explain myself. I'm trying to explain my way out of the book, basically. I'm trying to tell you how it is and how evil the world is, and I want you to recognize what the fuck it is that I'm saying, right? What I'm saying. Anyway. Yeah, I was searching to see if Chester Bennington, the singer, he's dead now, but yeah, I was trying to look for anything about him. Does he ever said anything about Jesus? Does he ever said anything about God? And I couldn't find anything, but I did find one thing. So, because when his friend died, Chris Cornell, he was the front man of Soundgarden. I think he had, yeah. So anyway, so when Chester Bennington was at his funeral, he sang a song, Hallelujah. Yeah, so I think it basically went something like Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. Yeah, basically just saying Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. Right? Remember what I was saying about the film Gothica and Halle Berry? Yeah, Halle Berry, Hallelujah Berry. Yeah, Hallelujah. Yeah, evil witch. I mean, there's so much bad stuff happening in the world, and there are some people who they say cancer rates are the highest they've ever been. Why would that be? Why would that be? It will keep getting that way. It's getting worse. It's getting worse by the minute, by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month. Yeah, it's that's how it's going. I just don't understand. It's crazy for me. For me, trying to talk people out of being my enemy. It's like what? Like, how can you not listen? How do you understand? I'm God. I can. You know what I mean? You know, I want to know that I can trust you. I want to know that you actually love me. Is that too much to ask for? Is it really? I'm the creator. I created you. I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to. When I was Jesus Christ, I didn't have to do that. I did not have to do that. I'm God. I wasn't. See, the thing is that the world is always hostile towards me. It hates me. So, if I come into the world wants to destroy me. That is how it always wants to treat me. And I was Jesus Christ because I was trying to stop that. I was trying to fix people. I was trying to set people. I was trying to bring people to me through Jesus Christ. I mean, there's that comparison. People say that, Jesus was the last Adam or something like that. Do you know what I mean? People comparing Adam from, the Garden of Eden to Jesus. It's like, why would someone make that comparison? I'm God. And people want to compare Adam to me. Does that sound like it doesn't sound right, does it? Why would people say that? I mean, obviously, you can go look at the verses for yourself, right? I couldn't tell you where they are or what exactly they say. But I remember when I read it, and I just thought, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I don't see why I should be compared. Well, I suppose people said Jesus looked like Adam. I'm not quite sure how people would know that. How would they know that? Thousands and thousands and thousands of years after Adam existed. How the fuck are they supposed to know that Jesus looks like Adam? Is that what they said? I think that's what they said. Do you know what I mean? But it sort of ties in with the idea of, God making man in his own image. Yeah? But anyway, how do I compare to Adam? Well, Adam's not God. I'm God. Yeah? I was Jesus. Who said, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. How hard is that to understand? Now imagine the situation, didn't matter how much you begged people, or how much you cried, and how much you were suffering. It didn't matter. No one cares about you, and if anyone did come to you to try to help you, really all they were doing was trying to take advantage of you, to abuse you, to get you to trust them just so they can fucking stick it in your back, just so they can stab you in the back. Imagine that. Imagine that's all you got in life. Imagine that was all you could get from people. Well, that's me. That's me. That's my life experience. Okay? Um, imagine being imprisoned for doing nothing wrong. Imagine, imagine that. And people have thrown away the key and forgetting you even exist. That's what it's like to be me. God doesn't sin. How can you say you're God? Well, you're right. God doesn't sin. I don't sin. I'm God. That's the thing. I'm God. So I'm perfect in my way. I don't have to. Well, I think Jesus set the perfect example for you to follow. Yeah, I was Jesus, but I'm God. As far as I'm, I think I'm perfect. I'm God. You might look at me and think I'm not perfect, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm perfect. I am who I am. Okay, I'm the one. I will tell you what sin is. You don't get to tell me what sin is. I tell you what sin is. Yeah, or I told you. People would love to point their fingers at me and say, "Oh, but how can you?" That's the thing, right? Because people want to think that God wouldn't do the things that I do. But why does that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that? I mean, this is the thing. I think there are a lot of people who call themselves Christians who they try to follow the example of Jesus Christ, but they think that God, me, they think that I must be perfect in the sense that I would never do anything like the things that I actually do. They think that I would behave in a very similar manner to how Jesus Christ behaved 2,000 years ago. But that's not how it is. That's not how it is. I think a lot of these people who call themselves Christians, they get very bitter. That's the thing. They're demons that hate me because they're bitter. They're bitter shitheads, basically. I mean, that's the thing. Let's say I had, I'm God, and let's say I have 10 wives, right? And man's gonna look at me and be like, yeah, but why can we only have one then, and you get to have 10, for instance? As an example, right? Or I can smoke, I can swear, I can do whatever the fuck I like, and man's gonna be like, yeah, but Jesus told us to be perfect like him, so why do you get to do whatever you want to do? Well, it's because I'm God. And there are many, many, many reasons why I do the things I do. Many reasons. You see, the thing is, if man still can't learn his place, if man can't understand that I am God and he is not God, therefore I make the decisions, not him. That's what's really important, right? I don't like my authority being questioned and challenged by people, for a start. I don't. Why would I want to have people around me who are going to fight me all the time? They don't listen to me. They argue with me. They don't understand me. I feel like a broken man. This life I've had, it's been bloody awful. I'm in a witchcraft battle with everybody. People want to say, yeah, but why would I went through a point where I was an alcoholic. Yeah, I couldn't stop drinking spirits. Now, why would I have that problem? You know, why are there so many alcoholics in the world who want to drink spirits all the time? Yeah, why? Why? Well, it's because, you know, they want to. It's magic. See, every time you take a swig of a bottle, which is a spirit, that's the type of magic that's happening, right? You're filling yourself with a liquid you call spirit. Yeah? And that bottle of spirit that you drank, it has a brand name on it, it has a logo name on it, it has words written all over it. You know? Trademarks and copyrights and all this stuff, you know? Yeah. There's all kinds of magic going on there. See, the thing is that I'm doing a magic battle with the world all the time. And I guess, you know, people, they ask, you know, like, why does Satan exist? Why does the devil exist? And, you know, why is there evil in the world? And all this kind of stuff. I mean, this is the thing, right? Because I was Jesus Christ, but most people, you know, I mean, I'm angry God. I'm God. I'm very angry. I'm cross. Yeah? I'm very cross. Very angry. And the world's getting destroyed because of me. Because it hates me. And I hate the world. I'm very angry. I mean, imagine that, right? So English people, they decided to make the word cross mean anger. Do you not see how that's really sick and twisted? It is though, isn't it? Can you recognize that fact? I mean, you know what people eat? You know, people want to eat hot cross buns. Hot cross buns. Well, you know, you might see a woman and be, wow, she's hot, yeah, and she's got nice buns, yeah. You know, maybe she's got chocolate buns, maybe she's got vanilla buns or something, or you know, whatever. Yeah, you want to get a bit of butter on there, yeah, a bit of butter, yeah, melted butter, yeah, that yellow butter. Get it nice and hot, hot cross buns. Magic. It's magic. Everything you do all day long, it means something. It matters. See, I can't even say, do you know what I mean? I say it matters. What does matter mean? Well, matter means physical, or it means it's important, or it means in Latin, it means mother, matter. See, I can't even, how do I even explain what I'm trying to say to you? It's like my tongue has been tied. You know, it's like my tongue is in a knot. So I can speak, but the language I'm speaking to you through, English, well, it's almost useless trying to speak because you don't hear the words that I'm saying. You don't hear what it is that I'm trying to say. You hear it all wrong. You hear it you hear it inverted. You know, you hear it backwards. You hear it upside down. I mean, that's the thing. My ex-girlfriend, her name was Ania. Ania, okay? And one of the things I used to do with her, I used to tie her. I did on probably a few occasions, tied her hands behind her back. Yeah, I did. You know, I was having fun. That was the whole point of it. Yeah, but that's what I did. Yeah. But that's the thing. Anti-Christ. Yeah. So who's the Antichrist then? Yeah, I've got an auntie who's called Christine. Yeah, Dr. Christine Neal. Yeah. You know, there's that actor. You know, who's in Jurassic Park. He's called Sam Neill, and he played Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park. Yeah, Sick Park. Jurassic Park. Yeah, Jurassic Park. Yeah. Dinosaurs. No, it's sore. Oh no. Dinosaur. Yeah. It's interesting because the fat kid, he says to Dr. Grant, he looks at the image of the Velociraptor that he's looking at. It's the skeleton of the Velociraptor, and what is he? He said it looks like a big turkey, or something. Or he says something about it being a turkey, right? And obviously, at Christmas time, what do people eat? They eat a turkey. You notice how if you look at kids' food, you can get things like frozen turkey things, like turkey dinosaurs or whatever, right? I'm sure I've seen that before. So you get like turkey dinosaurs and turkey meat, but it's shaped in the shape of a dinosaur. It'll be covered in breadcrumbs. I am the bread of life. Yeah, bloody blur. Yeah, I'm sure I probably ate stuff like that when I was a little kid. Not anymore, but I did. Anyways, gotta get that turkey and get it stuffed, yeah? That stuffed bird, which you all eat for Christmas, yeah? Make sure that bird's nice and stuffed, yeah? Bit of onion and sage, yeah? Or the Scottish stuffing, which is what I like. Yeah, like a bit of oatmeal, bit of onion, spices. Yeah, Scottish stuffing is definitely tastier than English stuffing. English stuffing's crap, in my opinion. Yeah, there's no comparison really. Anyways, whatever. See, I look at the world and I see how disgusting and sick it really is. It really is. I mean, this is the thing. You've seen films about vampires. Well, what if I told you that human beings are probably that's what human beings are. I mean, that's the thing. Human beings, if they actually saw a real vampire, that to them they would probably be disgusted. They'd be like, oh, But when I look at the world, that's kind of how I see humans. I kind of see humans in that way as well. I see the sickness. I see all the evil. But it's because my eyes are open. I see it. I see it. I see things you don't see. That I want you to see, but if you cannot, I'm trying to open your eyes. I'm trying to get you to listen, to hear actually what it is that I'm trying to tell you. Anyways, I think this video's been long enough. Yeah.